Sidearm.
Sidearm.
Sidebar.
Sidebar.
Side benefit.
Side benefit.
A side benefit to filming close-up shots is that your microphone will pick up clearer sound.
Sideboard.
Sideboard.
Sideburns.
Sideburns.
Sidecar.
Sidecar.
Side dish.
Side dish.
Side effect.
Side effect.
A natural remedy with no harmful side effects.
The side effects of the medication.
These policy changes could have beneficial side effects for the whole economy.
Side issue.
Side issue.
The tax proposal is really a side issue with us.
Sidekick.
Sidekick.
Sidelight.
Sidelight.
Sideline.
Sideline.
Zoe does a bit of freelance photography as a sideline.
You can't stay on the sidelines forever. It's time you got involved.
Wenger stood on the sidelines shouting instructions.
Owen was once again sidelined through injury.
Sidelong.
Sidelong.
He gave Oliver a sidelong glance. You looked very well this morning, she added, glancing sidelong at him.
Side on.
Side on.
A side-on collision.
Side order.
Side order.
A side order of onion rings.
Side road.
Side road.
Side saddle.
Side saddle.
Sideshow.
Sideshow.
The initial conflict was a mere sideshow compared with the World War that followed.
Side splitting.
Side splitting.
He told some side-splitting jokes.
Sidestep.
Sidestep.
The report sidesteps the environmental issues. Side street.
Side street.
Sideswipe.
Sideswipe.
Sir Kenneth concluded with a sideswipe at his critics.
She was going too fast and sideswiped a parked car.
Sidetrack.
Sidetrack.
Don't get sidetracked by the audience's questions.
An effort to improve security was sidetracked by budget problems.
Side view mirror.
Side view mirror.
Sidewalk.
Sidewalk. Sideways.
Sideways.
A strong gust of wind blew the car sideways into the ditch.
They brought the piano sideways through the front door.
He would be moved sideways rather than demoted.
A sideways glance.
A strong gust of wind blew the car sideways into the ditch.
They brought the piano sideways through the front door.
He would be moved sideways rather than demoted.
A sideways glance.
Sidewheeler.
Sidewheeler.
Siding.
Siding.
Sidle.
Sidle.
A woman sidled up to us and asked if we wanted to buy a watch.
SIDS.
SIDS.
Siege.
Siege.
The siege lasted almost 4 months.
A 3-day police siege at a remote country cottage.
The siege of Leningrad.
In June 1176, King Richard laid siege to Limoges.
Then he set to work laying siege to her with letters.
The TV station has been under siege from irate viewers phoning in to complain.
Sienna.
Sienna.
Sierra.
Sierra.
The Sierra Club.
Sierra Club.
Siesta.
Siesta.
The stores all close after lunch when everyone takes a siesta.
Sieve.
Sieve.
Sieve the flour and cocoa powder into a bowl.
Sift.
Sift.
Police are sifting through the evidence.
It's hard to sift out the truth from the lies in this case.
Sifter.
Sifter.
Sigh.
Sigh.
Well, there's nothing we can do about it now, she sighed.
Frankie stared out of the window and sighed deeply. He sighed with despair at the thought of all the opportunities he had missed.
The wind sighed in the trees.
Amelia sighed for her lost youth.
She let out a sigh of impatience.
Laura shrugged and gave a heavy sigh.
We all breathed a sigh of relief when we heard they were safe.
Sight.
Sight.
Anne's sight is very good for someone of her age.
He began to lose his sight 6 years ago.
An emergency operation to save his sight. You will get a free sight test if you are under 16.
Far-sighted.
Sigh. Sight.
Just the sight of him made her go all weak.
Marcy will faint at the sight of blood.
The house is hidden from sight behind trees.
Street dentists are a common sight in Pakistan.
As he reached the front door, he saw a strange sight.
The sights and sounds of the forest.
In the afternoon, you'll have a chance to relax or see the sights. So, Maria's showing you the sights of Copenhagen, is she?
I glanced around me quickly. There was no one in sight.
They burned every house in sight. The boys get home and eat everything in sight.
Since my hotel was within sight, I told him he could go. 6 months from the start of the strike, there is still no end in sight.
Peace is now in sight.
We camped within sight of the lake.
At last they came in sight of the city.
Dan was now within sight of the championship.
Rogers had victory firmly in his sights.
Karen waved until the car was out of sight.
Will she be all right? Asked Jen as the car disappeared from sight. Will she be all right? Asked Jen as the car disappeared from sight.
When the ship at last came into sight.
The army has been ordered to shoot rebel soldiers on sight.
Joe disliked him on sight.
Since the accident, Donna hasn't let the children out of her sight. Alan and Sam can't stand the sight of each other.
Everybody hates the sight of you.
I know the place a damn sight better than you do.
The old lady is a sight cleverer than Sarah.
We'd had an all-night party, and the place looked a bit of a sight.
I can't believe you would rent a place sight unseen. His garden was a sight to behold.
His face was not a pleasant sight to behold.
The sailors gave a shout of joy when they sighted land.
Several rare birds have been sighted in the area.
Sighted.
Sighted.
Blind and sighted children are taught in the same classroom.
Her partially sighted father.
Sighting.
Sighting.
There were 2 unconfirmed sightings of UFOs in the area.
Where was the latest sighting? Sightless.
Sightless.
Sight read.
Sight read.
Sightseeing.
Sightseeing.
She swam and sunbathed, went sightseeing and relaxed.
Sightseer.
Sightseer.
Sign.
Sign.
A sign on the door.
Road signs.
A no smoking sign.
Don't ignore the fog warning signs.
A red morning sky is a sign of an impending storm.
Crying is seen as a sign of weakness.
A paw print in the dust was a sign that a tiger was close. There are signs that the situation is improving.
There were no signs of forced entry into the house.
The thumbs up sign.
Wait until I give the sign.
Bruce made a sign that he was ready to leave.
3 short blasts on the whistle was the sign to begin.
The dollar sign.
A minus sign. What sign are you?
I waited for 2 hours, but there was still no sign of her.
She listened intently for signs of life.
Commercial property markets are now showing definite signs of life. It's just a sign of the times that many children have mobile phones.
Sign here, please.
The artist had signed his name in the corner of the painting.
You forgot to sign the check.
Over 100 people have signed the petition.
Serena signs her autograph every time she's asked.
A signed photo of Paul McCartney.
France has just signed a new trade deal with Japan.
CBS Records had signed her back in 1988 on a 3-album contract. Miller worked in the shipyards before signing for Rangers.
Before long they had signed with Virgin. Make sure the repairs are done before you sign on the dotted line. Make sure the repairs are done before you sign on the dotted line.
It'll all be signed and sealed by Friday, and you can move in then.
He signed to the maid to leave the room.
She signed for us to go inside.
She had signed away all claims to the house.
I felt as if I was signing away my life. This is a registered letter. Someone will have to sign for it. Remember to sign in at reception.
It's getting late, so I'll sign off now. Love, John.
For the last month, she has been signed off sick from work. Major repainting work now needs to be signed off by a qualified engineer. Major repainting work now needs to be signed off by a qualified engineer.
He signed on as a soldier in the U.S. Army.
I'll probably have to sign on with a nursing agency.
Bernstein signed out a company car.
Parents must sign pupils out when collecting them for doctors' or dentists' appointments.
When he became ill, he signed his property in France over to his son.
I'm thinking of signing up for a yoga course. Over half the people who signed up to do engineering were women.
Several well-known researchers have been signed up for the project.
Signage.
Signage.
The signage at the hospital is being made clearer.
Signal.
Signal.
When she got up from the table, it was obviously the signal for us to leave.
At a pre-arranged signal, the lights went out.
These results are a signal that the child may need special help.
The opinion poll is a clear signal of people's dissatisfaction with the government.
The danger signals of a heart attack. We don't want to give out the wrong signal to investors.
This new pay TV channel sends signals via satellite to cable companies.
A small antenna which can receive radio signals.
The Coast Guard picked up a distress signal from a freighter 50 miles out at sea.
A stop signal.
A signal failure.
She signalled, and the waiter brought the bill. The whistle signalled the end of the match.
Mary signalled wildly at them, but they didn't notice. The judge signalled to a police officer, and the man was led away. He pushed his plate away and signalled for coffee. She signalled to the children to come inside.
The bell signalled that school was over.
Both sides have signalled their willingness to start negotiations.
British sources last night signalled their readiness to talk. The Prime Minister's speech today signals that there will be a shake-up in the Cabinet.
The lengthening days that signal the end of winter. Signal before you pull out.
The university has done me the signal honour of making me an honorary fellow.
Signal box.
Signal box.
Signaller.
Signaller.
Signally.
Signally.
The government has signally failed to deal with the problem.
Signalman.
Signalman.
Signatory.
Signatory.
The UK is a signatory to the Berne Convention. The signatories of the Helsinki Declaration.
Signature.
Signature.
Her signature is totally illegible.
The school collected 4,000 signatures for the petition.
The Ukrainians put their signatures to the Lisbon Protocol.
Someone's forged my signature on this letter. Each child must obtain the signature of his or her parents.
We will send you a copy of the agreement for signature.
Smith's signature singing style.
Signature tune.
Signature tune.
Signboard.
Signboard.
Signet.
Signet.
Signet ring.
Signet ring.
Signet. Signet ring.
Significance.
Significance.
Stella didn't attach any significance to Doug's query.
The significance of climate change.
The book assesses the significance of Stalin's policies between 1927 and 1939.
The results of the study have a wider significance for all the profession.
The crime problem has great significance to the general public. The press was slow to grasp the significance of what happened.
The significance of the words that refer to the bread Christ shares with his disciples.
Only later did we realize the true significance of his remark.
Significant.
Significant.
His most significant political achievement was the abolition of the death penalty.
Please inform us if there are any significant changes in your plans.
The result is highly significant for the future of the province.
It is significant that the writers of the report were all men.
A significant number of drivers fail to keep to speed limits.
A significant part of Japan's wealth is invested in the West.
There is a significant difference between the number of home births now and 10 years ago. The rise in temperature is not statistically significant.
He gave me a significant look.
Significant figure.
Significant figure. Significantly.
Significantly.
Health problems can be significantly reduced by careful diet.
Methods used by younger teachers differ significantly from those used by older ones.
Delia's work has been significantly better this year.
The Democrats significantly finished well behind the Green Party.
George paused and glanced significantly in my direction.
Significant other.
Significant other.
Signification.
Signification.
Signify.
Signify.
Some tribes use special facial markings to signify status.
The image of the lion signified power and strength.
The symbol used signifies that the frequency is measured in kilohertz.
Hamilton waved his hand to signify that he didn't mind what they decided.
He turned away from her slightly to signify his indifference.
These figures don't really signify in the overall results. Signing.
Signing.
The formal signing will take place on April the 9th.
The signing of the ceasefire agreement.
New signing Mark Brown scored 3 goals in his first match.
Birmingham City have completed the signing of Doug Bell from Shrewsbury Town.
Sign language.
Sign language.
Signpost.
Signpost.
I'm sure that signpost is pointing the wrong way. Just follow the signposts to the city centre.
As yet, there are few signposts pointing to success.
The village isn't very well signposted. They have signposted their conclusions in the report.
Sikh.
Sikh.
Sikhism.
Sikhism.
Silage.
Silage.
Silence.
Silence.
Nothing disturbed the silence of the night.
After the explosion, an eerie silence fell upon the scene.
A loud scream shattered the silence.
There was a brief silence before anyone answered.
The 4 men sat in silence. How long have you been here? I asked. There was complete silence. Silence in court, roared the judge.
There was an awkward silence between them.
The accused exercised his right to silence.
The government's silence on such an important issue seems very strange.
Once again, the answer was a deafening silence.
After 2 years of silence, he suddenly got in touch with us again.
She held up her hand to silence the children.
Attempts to silence the rumours.
Barnes has failed to silence his critics.
Silencer.
Silencer.
Silent.
Silent.
Alan was silent.
She kept silent, forcing Buchanan to continue. The crowd fell silent when the president appeared.
The report was silent on the subject. The large house was silent and lonely. At last, the guns fell silent.
Julie offered up a silent prayer that she would pass her exam.
The W in wreck is silent.
He sat silently by the bed.
Silent majority.
Silent majority.
Silent partner.
Silent partner.
Silhouette.
Silhouette.
A dark silhouette of domes and minarets.
Soon the bombers would return, black silhouettes against a pale sky.
The old windmill stood out in silhouette.
Silhouette pictures of snowmen and reindeer.
A picture of Mozart in silhouette.
Fitted clothes often give the neatest silhouettes.
Tall chimney stacks silhouetted against the orange flames.
Silica.
Silica.